This speech was given by Albert E. N. Gray at the National Association of Life Underwriters Convention in 1940. It was given to those that sold life insurance for a living. I think everyone will find this speech life-changing. The Common Denominator of Success by Albert E. N. Gray. Several years ago, I was brought face to face with the very disturbing realization that I was trying to supervise and direct the efforts of a large number of people who were trying to achieve success without knowing myself what the secret to success really was. And that naturally brought me face to face with the further realization that regardless of what other knowledge I might have brought to my job, I was definitely lacking in the most important knowledge of all. Of course, like most of us, I had been brought up on the popular belief that the secret of success is hard work. But I had seen so many people work hard without succeeding, and so many succeed without working hard, that I became convinced that hard work was not the real secret, even though in most cases it might be one of the requirements. And so I set out on a voyage of discovery, which carried me through biographies and autobiographies and all sorts of meditations on success and the lives of successful people, until I finally reached the point at which I realized that the secret I was trying to discover lay not only in what people did, but what made them do it. I realized further that the secret for which I was searching must not only apply to every definition of success, but since it must apply to everyone to whom it was offered, it must also apply to everyone who had ever been successful. In short, I was looking for the common denominator of success. And because that is exactly what I was looking for, that is exactly what I found. But the common denominator of success is so big, so powerful, and so vitally important to your future and mine that I'm not going to make a speech about it. I'm going to lay it on the line in words of one syllable so anybody can understand them. The common denominator of success, the secret of success, every person who has ever been successful, lies in the fact they form the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. It's just as true as it sounds, and it's just as simple as it seems. You can hold it up to the light. You can put it to the acid test. You can kick it around until it's worn out, but when you are all through with it, it will still be the common denominator of success, whether we like it or not. It will explain why people have gone into business or profession with every apparent qualification for success and have been nothing but disappointing failures, while others have achieved outstanding success in spite of many obvious handicaps. And since it will also explain your future, it would seem to be a mighty good idea for you to use it in determining just what sort of future you're going to have. In other words, let's take this big, all-embracing secret and boil it down to fit you. If the secret of success lies in forming the habit of doing the things failures don't like to do, let's start the boiling down process by determining what are the things that failures don't like to do. The thing that failures don't like to do are the things that you and I and other human beings, including successful people, naturally don't like to do. In other words, we've got to realize right from the start that success is something which is achieved by the minority of people and is therefore unnatural and not to be achieved by following our natural likes and dislikes, nor by being guided by our natural preferences or prejudices. The things that failures don't like to do in general are too many and too obvious for us to discuss them here. And so, since our success in every endeavor lies in our ability to persuade others to do what we would like to have them to do, let's move on to a discussion of the things we don't like to do. Here too, the things we don't like to do are too many to permit a specific discussion, but I think they can, from one basic dislike common to all of us. We don't like to talk to people about something they might not want to talk about. Any reluctance to approach someone to change their activity, to persuade them to take a new approach, is caused by one basic dislike. Perhaps you wondered what is behind this peculiar lack of welcome on the part of those we're trying to persuade. Isn't it due to the fact that our prospects are human too? And isn't it true that the average human being is highly resistant to change when it's for their own improvement and is therefore prone to escape our efforts to persuade them to do something they don't want to do by striking at the most important weakness we possess, namely our desire to be appreciated? Perhaps you have been discouraged by a feeling that you were born subject to certain dislikes peculiar to you, with which successful people are not afflicted. Perhaps you have wondered why is those who accomplish the most seem to like to do the things that you don't like to do. They don't. And I think this is the most important and encouraging statement I have ever offered any person. But if they don't like to do these things, then why do they do them? Because by doing the things they don't like to do, they can accomplish the thing they want to accomplish. Let me repeat that. Successful people are influenced by the desire for pleasing results. Failures are influenced by the desire for pleasing methods and are inclined to be satisfied with such results as can be obtained by doing things they like to do. Why are successful people able to do things they don't like to do while failures are not? Because successful people have a purpose strong enough to make them form the habit of doing things they don't like to do in order to accomplish the purpose they want to accomplish. Sometimes even the best producers get in a slump. When a person gets into a slump, it simply means they have reached a point for the time being, the things they don't like to do have become more important than their reasons for doing them. Many people with whom I have discussed this common denominator of success have said at this point, but I have a family to support and I have to have a living for my family and myself. Isn't that enough of a purpose? No, it isn't. It isn't sufficiently strong purpose for you to form the habit of doing the things you don't like to do for the very simple reason that it is easier to adjust ourselves to the hardships of poor living than it is to adjust ourselves to the hardships of making a better one. If you doubt me, just think of the things that you are willing to go without in order to avoid doing the things you don't like to do, all of which seems to prove that the strength that holds you to your purpose is not your own strength, but the strength of the purpose itself. Now let's see why habit belongs so importantly in this common denominator of success. People are creatures of habit, just as machines are creatures of momentum. For habit is nothing more or less than momentum translated from the concrete into the abstract. Can you picture the problem that would face our mechanical engineers if there were no such thing as momentum? Speed would be impossible because your high speed at which any vehicle could be moved would be the first speed it could be broken away from a standstill. Elevators could not be made to rise. Airplanes could not be made to fly, and the entire world of mechanics would find itself in a total state of helplessness. Then who are you to think that we can do with our own human nature what the finest engineers in the world could not do with the finest machinery that was ever built? Every single qualification for success is acquired through habit. People form habits and habits form futures. If you do not deliberately form good habits, then unconsciously you were born bad ones. You are the kind of person you are because you have formed the habit of being that kind of person. And the only way you can change is through changing habits. The success habits for any area of achievement can be divided into four main groups. 1. Contacting habits. 2. Calling habits. 3. Persuading habits. And 4. Working habits. Let's discuss these habit groups in order. Any successful person will tell you that it is easier to persuade someone to a particular course of action than find someone who already wants it. But if you have not formed the habit of deliberately contacting those who need what you are offering, regardless of their wants, then unconsciously you have formed the habit of limiting your contacts to those people who already want what you have to offer. And therein lies the one and only reason for a lack of interested contacts. As to calling habits, unless you have deliberately formed the habit of calling on people who are able to do what you want them to do, but may be unwilling to listen, then unconsciously you have formed the habit of calling on people who are willing to listen, but unable to do what you want them to do. As to persuasion habits, unless you have deliberately formed the habit of calling on people determined to help them see why it is in their best interest, you have formed the habit of calling on people while you are in a state of mind in which you are willing to let them make you see their reasons for not going along with you. As to working habits, if you will take care of the other three groups, the working habits will generally take care of themselves, because under working habits are included study, preparation, organization of time and efforts, records, analysis, etc. Certainly, you're not going to take the trouble to learn the best approach to your presentation unless you're going to use it. You're not going to plan your day's activities when you know in your heart you're not going to carry out your plan. And you're certainly not going to keep an honest record of things you haven't done or of results you haven't achieved. So let's not worry so much about the fourth group of success habits. If you're taking care of the first three groups, the working habits will take care of themselves. But before you decide to adopt these success habits, let me warn you of the importance of habit to your decision. I have attended many sales meetings and rallies during the past years and have often wondered why, in spite of the fact there is so much good in them, so many people seem to get so little lasting good out of them. Perhaps you've attended sales meetings in the past and left those meetings determined to do the things that would make you more successful, only to find that your decision or determination waning at just the time it should be put into effect or practice. Here's the answer. Any resolution or decision you make is simply a promise to yourself that isn't worth a tinker's damn until you have formed the habit of making it and keeping it. And if you won't form the habit of making it and keeping it, unless right at the start you link it with a definite purpose that can be accomplished by keeping it. In other words, any resolution or decision you make today has to be made again tomorrow and the next day and the next and the next and so on. And it not only has to be made each day, it has to be kept each day. Or if you miss one day in the making or keeping of it, you've got to go back and begin all over again. But if you continue the process of making it each morning and keeping it each day, you will finally wake up some morning a different person in a different world, and you will wonder what happened to you and the world you used to live in. Here's what happened. Your resolution or decision has become a habit, and you don't have to make it on this particular morning. And the reason for your seeming like a different person living in a different world lies in the fact that for the first time in your life, you have become master of yourself and master of your likes by surrendering to your purpose in life. That is why behind every success, there must be a purpose. And that is what makes purpose so important to your future. For in the last analysis, your future is not going to depend on economic conditions or outside influences or circumstances over which you have no control. Your future is going to depend on your purpose in life. So let's talk about purpose. First of all, your purpose must be practical and not visionary. Some time ago, I talked with a man who thought he had a purpose that was more important to him than income. He was interested in the sufferings of his fellow man. He wanted to be placed into a position to alleviate that suffering. When we analyzed his real feelings, we discovered, and he admitted it, that what he really wanted was a nice job dispensing charity with others' money and being well paid for it, along with the appreciation and feeling of importance that would naturally go with such a job. But in making your purpose practical, be careful not to make it logical. Make it a purpose of the sentimental or emotional type. Remember that needs are logical, while wants and desires are sentimental and emotional. Your needs will push you just so far, but when your needs are satisfied, they will stop pushing you. If, however, your purpose is in terms of wants and desires, then your wants and desires will keep you long after your needs are satisfied satisfied and your wants and desires are fulfilled. Recently, I was talking with a young man who long ago discovered the common denominator of success without identifying his discovery. He had a definite purpose in life, and it was definitely a sentimental or emotional purpose. He wanted his boy to go through college without having to work his way through as he had done. He wanted to avoid for his little girl the hardships that his own sister had to face in her childhood, and he wanted his wife to enjoy the luxuries and comforts and even necessities which had been denied his own mother. He was willing to form the habit of doing the things he didn't like to do in order to accomplish this purpose. Not to discourage him, but rather have him encourage me. I said to him, "Aren't you going a little too far with this thing? There's no logical reason why your son shouldn't be able to work his way through college just as his father did. Of course, he'll miss many of the things that you missed in college, and he'll probably have heartaches and disappointments, but if he's any good, he'll come through in the end as you did. And there's no logical reason why you should have to slave in order that your daughter may have the things that your own sister wasn't able to have, or in order that your wife can enjoy comforts and luxuries that she wasn't used to before she married you." He looked at me with a rather pitying look and said, "But there's no inspiration in logic. There's only courage in logic. There's not even happiness in logic. There's only satisfaction. The only place logic has in my life is the realization that the more I am willing to do for my wife and children, the more I shall be able to do for myself." I imagine after hearing that story, you won't have to be told how to find your purpose or how to identify or how to surrender to it. If it's a big purpose, you will be big in its accomplishment. If it's an unselfish purpose, you will be unselfish in accomplishing it. And if it's an honest purpose, you will be honest and honorable in the accomplishment of it. But as long as you live, don't ever forget that while you may succeed beyond your fondest hopes and your greatest expectation, you will never succeed beyond the purpose to which you are willing to surrender. Furthermore, your surrender will not be complete until you have formed the habit of doing the things failures don't like to do. This has been a speech by Albert E.N. Gray that was given at the National Association of Life Underwriters Convention of 1940. It's given to a group of insurance executives. Albert E.N. Gray was a trainer for Prudential Life Insurance. To discover and pursue a powerful personal purpose or mission for yourself, go to my website, www.donowcoach.com. Go to the videos, scroll down to lesson 4, how to write a mission statement. How to write a mission statement will help you get started. The other video to watch is the write a mission statement and live it daily template tutorial, which is write your mission statement tutorial. These two videos will help you determine a powerful purpose or mission that will help you to do the things that failures don't like to do. Establish a powerful purpose or mission for yourself. Thank you. I'm Paul Hinkle.